fun stitch nook and my desk where the creativity happens. So today I'm going to go over a tutorial for how to do this lavender band you see here as I use in the lavender cardigan pattern. We're not going to go over the sleeve. I have a separate video that does explain that. We are just concerning ourselves with the band, whether it's the flat lay or in the round. You can use this for your own usage, or if you are following the pattern, this is going to be a good tutorial to give you a visual for how to work it. So for this one, we're going to start with our ivory yarn, and you're going to use a yarn of your choice in a 2-weight yarn. I use the yarn B Yarntopia, and the hook we're using is a 2.75, if it will. There we go. So now for me to find the end on this, we shall do it like so, I think. All right, so to give an example for the belt band or a flat lay for this lavender strip, you're going to chain a multiple of 3s, then plus 2, once you have about the amount you want. Okay, so I'm going to do an example for the flat lay. So let's see, 1, 2, bring this down so we get a better focus. I'm going to do a multiple of 3 chains. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 2. And then chain 1 extra. So essentially you actually want 3 if you're counting that last chain is going to be worked for this row. Now I have had some comments that some people, I do a chain 1 for a half double crochet because I like that it makes it tighter. If you like 2 chains for your half double crochets, go ahead and do 2 extra chains. So once we have our base chain, I'm going to half double crochet in these back loops. So instead of through here, which you can if you want, but since we're going to, in the pattern, we work off of both the top and bottom, it is easier if we leave these open. So starting in the second chain from hook, I'm going to half double crochet in the back loops. Let's see if I can make sure the focus is a little better. There we go. Just simple half crochet all the way across in the back loops. Now here I am at the very last chain, and as I'm going to do my half double crochet into that last back loop, once I have 3 loops on my hook, I'm going to wrap the yarn and push it back and do a color change into the green. And I'm going to pull that through to give a clean color transition. And then from here we want to chain 1, or you can chain 1 very tightly to secure it and then chain an extra 1 like so. And we are going to cut this ivory yarn at the bottom, so you can work over this if you want to reduce your loose ends. I will show how that works. And then in this case, we're again half double crocheting in each stitch across. So turn your work and just half double crochet in each stitch across. I'm going to work over my yarn ends. Okay. I'll give the ivory a snip. Sorry, my yarn's getting itself tangled. And then just continue your half double crochets all the way across. And as we finish our half double crochets, so we're going to turn our work, and I like to slip stitch into the first stitch like so, nice and tight, and then chain 3, and then we're going to skip the next stitch and do a V stitch into the one after that. And a V stitch is a double crochet, a chain 1, and then a double crochet in the same stitch. So you see it creates a V. And this is going to be giving our sort of stems. Now we're going to skip 2 and make a V stitch in the next stitch. So skip 2, V stitch in the next stitch. Skip 2, V stitch in the next stitch, and you'll just keep doing that for your entire length until you reach your last 2. And here we skip 1 and double crochet in the next one. Now we're going to do a color change. So once you've done your first yarn over pull through 2, you're going to wrap your yarn over and push it back. And then you're going to pick up your ivory again and pull that through for that color change, like so. Then you can cinch it with a very tight chain if you want. And then we are going to chain 2, turn our work. And we can work over the green if we want or not. For now, I'm not going to because this is the most complicated row to go over. So just to keep it nice and simple. So what we're going to do, we're going to double crochet 2 in this, either in your double crochet here or in between that and the V stitch. So do 2 double crochets, but don't finish the second one since we're going to do a color change. So wrap your yarn and push it back. And let's bring in our lavender color. So bring in the lavender color, finish that double crochet, and then you're going to tightly slip stitch into the V stitch chain right here. Now you're going to chain 4 like so, and then working into the back loops like we did at the beginning, you're going to single crochet into them starting in the second one from the hook. So you should end up with 3 single crochets in your back loop. Now something to note is when we drop our ivory here, we're going to slip stitch. When we drop an ivory or we drop the purple, we are going to be carrying over. So we want to completely drop it and make sure we work over it as we go. So that way you don't see it popping out in odd places. So you're going to slip stitch again into the V stitch chain. And that makes your little lavender stick. Now we're going to drop the purple, and it can help to drop it and push it forward so you see it. And then chain 1 with the ivory, and you can give the purple a good tug. And now we're going to double crochet twice in between the V stitches again. So we're going to do a double crochet and a double crochet, and as we come to the second one, we're going to do a color change. So wrap your yarn to the back, pick up your lavender color, and finish that double crochet. Now we're going to repeat the lavender stitch. We're going to slip stitch into the V stitch chain, like so. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. In the back loop, starting second from hook, you're going to do 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch back into the V stitch chain. Make it nice and tight. Now we're going to drop our purple, pick up our ivory, chain 1, give the purple a little tug, and in between we're going to do 2 double crochets. 1, 2, and then we're going to do a color change. Let's do our color change. Wrap the yarn, push to the back, pick up our lavender, finish that double crochet, slip stitch into chain space of the V-stitch, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then single crochet 3 in the back loop, starting second from hook. From now, you probably get it. Just as a reminder. Slip stitch back into the chain. Okay, and as I'm doing this last one, I'm going to just double crochet in between the V-stitch and that chain 3 we had at the beginning, or chain 2. So just 2 double crochets. And so this is what that's looking like. You're going to kind of have them wiggling over the place, and the ivory is making these bumps, but we'll smooth that out in the next row. I'm going to snip off a tail of the purple and then a tail of the green, just so they're out of our way. Now we're going to chain 2, like so, and turn our work. Now in the double crochets from before, the ivories, we're going to double crochet into each as we go. So it's 1, 2, and then you're going to get into the top of the lavender and single crochet tightly into that, like so. So that's bringing it up straight. Then double crochet twice in each, or 1 in each double crochet in the previous row. So you should have 2 double crochets in between, and then a single crochet going over the lavender, like so. So double crochet, and a single crochet. Nice and easy row, and I personally find it encouraging to see the lavender looking a little more like lavender. Okay, and then I double crochet into the last 2 stitches. All right, now we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and just single crochet into each stitch. Just single your crochet your way all the way across the border. This gives just a little more space above the lavender before we start building up more of the trim. So that's nice and simple. And the last one. At the last one, we're going to do a color change. You're going to bring, so wrap your yarn and push it to the back, and we'll bring in our green again. Finish that single crochet. Whoops. Like so. Turn your work, and I'm going to crochet over the tails and over the ends. And you're just going to single crochet again all the way across, just giving it a little trim of green. Just single crochet your way across. And I'm just working my way over those ends to limit too many ends to deal with for later me. Oops. Okay, add that last single crochet, wrap the yarn over. I'm going to snip away the ivory from the previous row so we can pick it up one more time. My yarn is quite a mess today. Okay, wrap your yarn, push to the back, finish the color transition, and chain 1. turn your work, and one more time we're going to single crochet our way across our band, like so. All right, so give that a tug, and that is a little example of what your band will look like. I'm going to snip the ivory there. I'm going to snip the green close since we went over it, so it's not going to come loose. And so you see there we have 4 little lavenders, and that will be your band. And you could add an extra green down here if you wanted, or add a little pink, but this is the band example in my pattern. All right, now we will go on to see how we would work this in the round. Now, the count for when you're doing your armband or just working in the round is going to be a multiple of 6. Let me think. If you're not following the pattern, I think you could do it for multiples of 3. But for the pattern, we need it to be in multiples of 6. So I am going to do 60 chains because that is what I did for my other armband. So let me redo that. So I'm going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110. All right, I have myself a 60 chain, and then I'm going to slip stitch while being careful not to twist my chain, bringing it so it meets without any twist. I'm going to slip stitch into the first stitch, like so. And then I'm going to insert my hook through that first chain. Oh, it's not focusing. Like so. Pick up the loop and pull it through. So this way, I'm going to be working through the back loops. So I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to bring the tail and we'll kind of work that in. So similar like with the flat lay, we're going to half double crochet in the back loops all the way around. So it's going to be a little twisting and everything, so just work your way as you will around the armband. If you are following the pattern, you want the armband to not be too tight on your upper arm. You can decide where you want to place it, but I do encourage you to give it some breathing room for your arm, especially if you're going to like be wearing shirts underneath. You want to account for that. So just give it some space, even if you do want the arm to have the dramatic flare out and you want to give that illusion of a tighter upper arm. The pattern should design so that due to the increase on the lower side of the arm, a looser upper arm still looks tight. So just be aware of that if you are following the pattern. So just half double crochet your way all the way around through the back loops, and I'll see you at the end. All right, here we are at the end, and as I'm going to, well, actually, rather what I want to do is do a color change at this last half double crochet and bring in my green yarn. Here we go. Finish that half double crochet with the green, and then slip stitch into the first one. a first stitch in the row with the green, like so. Going to chain 1 or chain 2 if you prefer for your half double crochets. What's going on here? Why do I not like that bump? Okay. And then just like the other band or just like this previous row, you're just going to half double crochet around your band. So this is also just nice and simple. All right, finishing my oops, lost a bit of thread on that one. So I'm finishing my last half double crochet, and then I slip stitch into the first chain in the round, like so. And then we're going to keep working green for the second round to work our stems, just untangling some yarn. And this is pretty simple. The difference here is we're not going to have just double crochets by themselves on the edges. We're going to start by making ourselves a V-stitch. So go ahead and chain 4 like so, and then double crochet into that same stitch. So we're creating a V-stitch without the 2 double crochets. The 3, come here, the 3 chains count as a double crochet, and then the extra chain is the usual chain. Then we're going to skip 2 as usual, and then do a V-stitch in the next stitch. So the regular V-stitch is the double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and same stitch. Then skip 2 and make your V-stitch. And then you'll just continue that way all the way across. 1, 2, 3. I've reached my last V-stitch, and before I finish off that final double crochet, I'm bringing in my ivory yarn to color change, and then slip stitching into the first V-stitch, like so. Alright, and this time I am going to need to work over my green. Alright, and so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to chain 2, and you're going to almost need to go back a bit. We're going to do 1 double crochet behind us in between the V-stitches. And before we finish that, we're already going to make our first color change. So push that color to the back and pick up your, pin rolled away. Push that to the back, pick up your lavender color to finish that double crochet. Oops, there we go. And then slip stitch into the V-stitch chain. Sorry, there are a lot of ends to be seen here. Hopefully I can make it clearer here in a bit. Okay, so let's chain 4, starting in second back loop from the hook. We're going to single crochet into the next 3 chains in the back loops. So like so. Whoops, not entirely like that. There we go. 3 single crochets, and then we slip stitch going over our yarn into that V stitch chain. Make that nice and tight, drop it preferably towards the front. Where did our green go? There. Chain 1 tightly, give your purple a tug, and then double crochet 2 in between the V stitches. And on the last double crochet, we're going to color change again. So we'll push that back, pick up our purple, like so. Slip stitch into the V stitch chain, and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Single crochet in starting in second from loop into your back chains. So you have 3 single crochets, and then slip stitch into your V stitch chain. Drop your purple and pick up your ivory. Chain 1, giving the purple a tug, and then double crochet twice in between your V stitches. Drop the ivory again and pick up your purple. Sorry, I'm going out of frame. Finish your double crochet slip stitch into your V chain. 1, 2, 3, 4 chains, and then single crochet 3 in the back loops. Oops. So, and then slip stitch into your V chain, like so. Drop your purple, pick up your ivory, chain 1, and then double crochet twice in between stitches. So just continue that pattern. At this point, I might snip off the green. I think it's pretty secure. And then just work the pattern as we have been. Alright, I have come to my last lavender. I've just slip stitched into the V-stitch here. And I'm picking up my ivory, chaining 1, giving that a tug. And we're back in that in-between V-stitch that we started with. So I'm going to do one more double crochet like so, and then slip stitch into that first stitch. Now, I'm going to snip off with a bit of a tail to weave in because it's not that secure as is for the lavender, and I'll go back to that later. Now, we're going to chain 2, double crochet into that first stitch, and then single crochet into the top of the lavender. Nice tight single crochet. Then we'll double crochet into each of the 2 stitches in between. There's 1, there's 2, and then a single crochet into the top of the lavender. The lighting is going down, so sorry that the exposure is very weird. Let me see if I can bring it up a little bit, if that helps. So continue to double crochet into the 2 in between stitches. So 2 double crochets and then a single crochet into the top of the lavender. A double crochet, a double crochet, then a single crochet in top of the lavender. And just continue that around until we reach that ending point. All right, I've just done my single crochet into the last lavender, going to double crochet into that last stitch after the lavender, and then slip stitch into our first double crochet. So this is how we're looking so far. Now on to just being very simple, chain 1, and then single crochet all the way around. This should feel like it goes a lot faster after doing the lavender. All right, coming on my last single crochets. For that final single crochet, I'm going to wrap my yarn, push it to the back, and we are going to pick up our green one more time for our next row. Finish that single crochet with the green. Everything's a little loose there. I don't like that. Okay, slip stitch. There we go. Kind of tugging things so it becomes tighter. Chain 1 and single crochet your way around. This case, I'm going to leave the ivory in the back so we can just pick it up later. So I'm just going to work over my green yarn. So just single crochet over that and single crochet all the way around. Nice and simple. All right, finishing up the row, we come to our last single crochet, wrap our yarn, push it to the back, pick up the ivory from the 2 rows ago to finish off that single crochet. I'll give it a little tug, slip stitch into first stitch, chain 1, and then this is our last row. Going to work over the green to cinch it down and just do single crochet all the way around, and we will be done. So just finishing up our row here. Oops, gonna go back and finish that a little neater. Slip stitch into the first stitch in the row, and then there we go. That will just get snipped and worked nicely into the band. We'll wrap up our edges, and that is how you do the armband or work the lavender stitch in the round. I have not seen many or almost any actually like lavender stitches. The rose bud or the tulip stitch is quite common. You've seen that. I've seen you know, kind of there are heart stitches or there are leaf stitches. There are kind of these, but I could not find really a stitch pattern for lavender per se. And the closest I got, and what I partly based this off of, I really changed up kind of the bottom, but for this bit in the band, I had to quickly look her up. This Fairy Maid, which is very appropriate, she has a bag tutorial using her version of the lavender stitch. I wanted it to be a bit different, particularly I didn't want it to go straight into just a line of green. I like this here, and I wanted to have a little more fun with playing with the band itself. But as far as like the lavender stitch, this was quite interesting, and I also changed it up. She does, I believe, slip stitches instead of single crochets, so she has a tighter version, but I like that this makes it a little more bumpy and protruding, which gives a little more dimension. So I do want to shout her out. She was the closest version I could find, and so do check her out. She makes a lot of cute things, and so I was definitely very inspired by her and want to give credit where credit is due. But yeah, I have not found really you can make the physical lavenders, but lavender stitch was almost non-existent. So kudos to her for figuring this out, because I was having trouble coming up with a version of lavender, and I was just dead set that I had to make one. So thank you to this Fairy Maid. Let me get that correct. Makes or made? This Fairy Maid. So yeah, definitely very cool, and I'm so happy now to have my own lavender stitch. So thank you for following. I hope that was helpful, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'm happy to give clarification. If you're following the pattern, I would love to see your makes over on Instagram. Do tag me. You can get a coupon code for doing so. But yeah, that will be the end of this. Thanks again for watching.